Effective communication is defined as the ability to convey information to another effectively and efficiently. Business managers with good verbal, nonverbal and written communication skills help facilitate the sharing of information between people within a company for its commercial benefit. Communication barriers may prevent communication or carry incorrect meaning, due to which misunderstandings may be created. Therefore, it is essential for a manager to identify such barriers and take appropriate measures to overcome them. Active listening is an important aspect of effective communication. We cannot engage with someone if we are not listening to them, because we tend to make assumptions about their needs based on our perceptions versus the speaker's reality. So the first barrier to listening is focusing on a personal agenda. This is when we spend our listening time formulating our next response. We cannot be fully attentive to what the speaker is saying. Try your best to turn off personal agendas and really listen to what someone else is trying to say. We need information to take actions, and better the information we have, better the outcomes can be. As such, focus on beyond our own agenda and find information from the speaker that is different to our own thoughts, as this may give us a missing piece of the puzzle that we had not realized or uncovered. At the end of the day, if we leave a conversation without gleaming insights or perspectives about ideas, perhaps we weren't really listening to begin with. Experiencing information overload occurs when too much stimulation or information is being received, which can make it very difficult to listen with full attention. As such, try to focus on the relevant information and the central points that are being conveyed. An important element of active listening is to paraphrase the conversation by repeating back the key points to gain better understanding. This also assists in breaking down vast amounts of data into useful information that we can process and remember more easily. Criticizing the speaker occurs both subconsciously and sometimes openly. As such, do not be distracted by critical evaluations of the speaker. Instead, focus on what they are saying, as in the message, rather than the messenger. One of the simplest ways to be a better listener is to also ask more questions. This is a good way to better understand the speaker's core message, as you can dive deeper into it and understand what the speaker is trying to say. The way the speaker responds to the questions may also trigger a feeling of a safe space for other people, which would encourage them to also ask further questions. We can also get distracted by emotional noise, as we could react emotionally to certain words, concepts and ideas being discussed, as well as to a myriad of other cues from speakers, such as their appearance and non-verbal cues, as in the speaker's gestures and mannerism. My suggestion is to try and make a conscious effort to quiet our own emotional reactions so that we can listen better. This is easier said than done sometimes, as one of the most difficult components of listening effectively is waiting for a period at the end of a sentence before formulating a reply. However, mastering the art of waiting helps us to formulate our thoughts, allowing us to look past our emotions. Having a pen and paper handy during this process is also helpful, as writing down our thoughts, or as in this case questions, allows us to separate what we want to know from how we feel when we eventually ask our question. Most commonly in our active lives, we get distracted by external noise. Audible noise may be extremely distracting. Some things can be minimized, for example, turning down the ring volume on our phones and mute notifications on our computer while meeting with someone. Other noises may be unavoidable, for example construction noise, in which case, if possible, seek alternative location to meet and continue the discussion. There may also be figurative noise from the external environment, such as distracting or inappropriate decor in a room, or environmental conditions, such as the room being too hot or cold. To avoid this situation, prep work is key and can be done by walking or working through the area prior to our meeting to ensure the space meets not only organizational requirement but also our stakeholders in the meeting. Sometimes the most obvious barrier is experiencing physical difficulty. Feeling physically unwell or experiencing pain can make it very difficult to listen effectively. Often, whether we realize it or not, people listen to each other out of generosity and not out of curiosity. If we are physically unwell, this element of generosity adds additional strain to the listening and understanding process, which makes it even harder to understand and actively participate in the discussion. Listening is good, but the intent has to be curiosity, not generosity. Curiosity means we have skin in the game, and thereby the result is as important as the act of support we display by being present. At the end of the day, true dialogue does not happen when we pretend to listen, and it certainly cannot happen if we are not listening at all. As such, if we are experiencing physical difficulty, it's strongly advised that we communicate that to the speaker or person hosting the meeting and reschedule the discussion for a better time. The communication process is not easy, and there are several barriers which get in the way. In this video, we have explored one major element that can break down the communication process, as well as strategies to overcome them. Why is understanding this important, you may ask? Well, consider if we lived in a world where all that we are to ever do is correct. A world in which creativity is overflowing and channeled to the issues that need to be solved. However, in reality, our world is ever-changing, balancing and tilting based on our actions and reactions. Our world is far from thriving. As such, it has become more critical now than ever before to put aside our difference and proactively learn together to grow together and build a thriving world fueled by thinking and good communication.